Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at the Planetary Citizens Educational Resources website.
Okay.
It looks like you're interested in learning about personal growth and societal change and global issues.
Yeah.
And this website has got a ton of information on those topics. So we're going to try to break it down for you and pull out some of the key highlights.
Sounds good.
So tell me a little bit about Planetary Citizens. What is their kind of overall vision or goal?
Well, their vision is to create a world where humanity and the planet thrive together.
Okay.
And they have a bunch of different resources to help people learn about that and work towards it.
So they've been around for about 2 decades.
Yeah, almost 2 decades.
And they have a pretty extensive curriculum.
Yeah, definitely.
It was all designed by this guy named Leland Beaumont, who they describe as a Renaissance thinker.
Yeah.
And it's all self-paced, so you can kind of go at your own speed and choose what interests you.
Exactly.
Which is great, because there's a lot to choose from.
Yeah, and even the course titles are really intriguing.
Oh, yeah.
Like Unmasking the True Self or Thinking Scientifically.
What does it mean to think scientifically according to Planetary Citizens?
Well, they think that self-knowledge is like the foundation for everything else.
Okay.
And that the true self is often hidden beneath layers of like social conditioning and limiting beliefs and unconscious patterns.
Yeah.
So unmasking it is a process of introspection and self-reflection
Okay.
and challenging the assumptions that shape our perceptions and behaviors.
So it's more than just like figuring out what your favorite color is. It's like
Right.
really digging deep into
Yeah,
how you see the world.
exactly.
Wow.
And that's where thinking scientifically comes in. They emphasize using critical thinking and logic and evidence-based reasoning to evaluate not just the world around us, but also our own internal world.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like applying the scientific method to your own thoughts and beliefs.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I noticed they also have a course called Beyond Theism,
Yeah,
which seems like a pretty bold topic to tackle.
it is. They're not afraid to challenge conventional thinking and encourage exploration of different worldviews.
Okay.
They seem to promote open-mindedness and intellectual curiosity, which I think is great.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of exploring different worldviews, I noticed they have a course called A Journey to Game B.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
What is Game B?
So Game B is like a term used to describe alternative models for organizing society
Okay.
that are different from the current dominant paradigm, which is often called Game A.
Hmm.
Game A is focused on competition and endless growth and exploitation of resources.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that's ultimately unsustainable and destructive.
Okay.
So Game B is about trying to come up with new rules for the game of life, essentially,
Wow.
to create a world that's more aligned with ecological principles and social justice and human well-being.
It seems like a pretty radical idea.
It is, but it's gaining traction
Mm-hmm.
as more people are
Yeah.
realizing the problems with Game A.
Okay, so that's Game B. What about this Living Wisely course? It seems to be like a central hub,
Yeah.
connecting a lot of these different ideas.
Right. They start with the basics, like the origins and progression of wisdom and the virtues that form the foundation of a wise and ethical life.
Mm-hmm.
But then they connect those to our interactions with others,
Okay.
with modules on social skills and earning trust.
Which are really important.
Very important. And they don't just tell you what to do. They encourage you to engage in a process of self-discovery.
Oh, okay.
You know, that unmasking the true self concept?
Yeah.
Well, they have a whole module dedicated to that within Living Wisely.
Interesting.
It's like they're saying, before you can change the world, you have to understand yourself.
I see.
They emphasize the importance of clarifying your values and identifying what matters to you, because they believe that true wisdom comes from aligning your actions with your deepest values.
Right.
And they even include practical advice on things like getting enough sleep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have a module called Sleep Soundly.
That's funny.
Right.
But it makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
If you're burned out and sleep deprived, it's hard to engage with the world.
Exactly.
They seem to recognize that well-being is holistic
Mm-hmm.
and includes both the mental and physical.
Okay.
And then they dive into clear thinking.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right.
We could all use a little more of that.
Yeah, they have modules on facing facts and evaluating evidence and media literacy,
Oh, wow.
which are super relevant these days.
Yeah, definitely.
So they're not just teaching us how to think, but how to think critically
Mm-hmm.
and discern truth from falsehood.
That's really important.
Very
For
important.
everything nowadays.
Right. And they even have a module on seeking true beliefs and exploring worldviews,
Wow.
which ties back to that Beyond Theism course. So they're encouraging a healthy skepticism even towards your own beliefs.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So we've got self-awareness, critical thinking, exploring different worldviews, and then they have this whole other section on emotional competency,
Yeah,
which I find really interesting.
me too.
Yeah.
For a long time, emotions were seen as something to be suppressed or controlled.
Right.
But Planetary Citizens seems to recognize that they're a fundamental part of what makes us human.
Yeah, and they don't just acknowledge them, they have a whole curriculum dedicated to understanding and managing them
Right.
effectively.
They cover everything from recognizing emotions to resolving anger and overcoming hate.
Wow.
It's like a toolkit for navigating the complex emotional landscape of life.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then they take it a step further by connecting emotional competency to the idea of building trust
Mm-hmm.
and creating healthy relationships.
Exactly. They have modules on attributing blame, coping with ego, and, of course, earning trust,
Right.
which ties back to their emphasis on collaboration and community.
Okay, so they're not just saying manage your emotions so you can be happy. They're saying manage your emotions so you can be a better person
Right.
and contribute to a better world.
Exactly. They seem to understand that our individual well-being is linked to the well-being of others and the
Okay.
planet as a whole.
I like that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a lot of like high-level concepts,
Mm.
but I'm curious to know how all of this translates into action. Like,
Yeah.
how do we actually make a difference in the world?
Well, that's where their courses on specific areas of change come in.
Okay.
They delve into things like evolving governments and evolving money and coming together and improving social systems.
Okay.
They provide frameworks and tools for engaging with these complex systems and working towards positive change.
So it's not just about individual transformation.
No.
It's about applying those insights to create a better world for everyone.
Exactly. And they constantly emphasize the importance of wisdom and ethical action in this process.
Okay.
They have courses on dignity and wisdom, choosing humanity, and assessing human rights and moral reasoning.
So it's not just about like technological advancement.
Right.
It's about
It's about creating a world where everyone can flourish.
yeah.
They also address our relationship with the planet, with modules on living the golden rule
Yeah.
and understanding the golden rule, and practicing dialogue and understanding fairness.
Do they talk about climate change and environmental sustainability?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They have a module called Limits to Growth,
Okay.
which explores the challenges of living on a planet with finite resources.
Right.
And, that Journey to Game B course we talked about,
Yeah.
that ties into their vision for a more sustainable and equitable future.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
It's like they're weaving a tapestry of interconnected ideas
Right.
that lead towards a common goal,
Exactly.
creating a world that works for everyone.
Yeah, it's impressive.
It is. They've even got modules on intentional evolution and research centers dedicated to pushing the boundaries of knowledge
Yeah,
and exploring what it means to be human in the 21st century.
it's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. The scope of their curriculum is huge.
Yeah.
They cover everything from personal growth to global challenges, from ancient wisdom traditions to cutting-edge scientific research.
And they don't forget about inner work
Oh, right.
and cultivating a sense of peace. They have modules on finding courage and doing good and a quiet mind and even guided meditations.
Oh, wow.
Recognizing that creating a better world requires not just knowledge and skills,
Yeah,
but also inner strength and compassion
right.
and a connection to our own inner wisdom.
It's a holistic approach that
Exactly.
encompasses both the inner and outer dimensions of transformation.
Yeah, they seem to understand that true change starts within each of us, but then ripples outward, influencing our relationships and our communities,
Right.
and ultimately the world as a whole.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is.
But with so much to explore, it can feel a little overwhelming.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, where do you even begin?
Well, I think that's where their emphasis on self-paced learning comes in.
Okay.
You don't have to do everything at once. It's
Yeah.
more like a buffet of knowledge.
Okay.
You can choose what appeals to you most.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point to kind of pause and reflect because you brought this material to us
Right.
because you're interested in this.
Yeah.
So what stands out to you?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
What are you drawn to?
What are you curious about?
Yeah. It's really interesting how they transition from, the wisdom and the emotional competency to a more outward perspective.
Yeah.
They seem to believe that once you understand yourself and your place in the world,
Right.
you're better equipped to create positive change.
Yeah. Like, okay, now that you've got the tools,
Right.
let's put them to work and see what's possible.
Exactly. And they have a whole section dedicated to possibilities,
Oh, wow.
with courses on creativity and innovation and shaping the future.
Okay.
Like they have one called Unleashing Creativity,
Oh, cool.
which dives into the creative process,
Oh,
encouraging people to tap into their unique potential.
I bet that one's full of like exercises and techniques and stuff.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
To get those creative juices flowing.
Definitely.
Cool.
And they go on to provide frameworks for applying that creativity to solve real-world problems.
Well, that's cool.
So they have courses like thinking tools and problem finding and solving problems.
So it's like step by step
Yeah.
to becoming a more effective change maker.
Exactly. And they remind us that this process isn't always linear
Right.
or straightforward.
Yeah.
They emphasize the importance of flourishing and playing and even embracing ambiguity.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
Yeah, that sometimes I think we get so caught up in trying to do things right that we forget to like
Yeah,
and explore.
exactly.
Yeah.
And Planetary Citizens seems to understand that innovation
Right.
often comes from those unexpected moments when we let go of control
Okay.
and allow ourselves to be surprised.
So it's like finding that balance between structure
Right.
and spontaneity.
Exactly.
Cool. But how does all this translate into making a difference in the world?
Well, that's where their courses on specific areas of change come in.
Okay.
Like they have ones on evolving governments, evolving money coming together, improving social systems.
Okay. So it's not just about like individual transformation. It's about like taking those insights
Yeah.
and actually,
Relying them.
applying them to the real world.
Exactly. And they always emphasize wisdom and ethical action
Okay.
throughout this process.
So they have courses on dignity.
Wisdom, choosing humanity,
Oh, wow.
assessing human rights, moral reasoning.
So it's not just about like progress for the sake of progress.
Right.
It's about,
It's about creating a world that benefits everyone.
okay. Yeah.
And they address our relationship with the planet too,
Oh, okay.
with modules on living the golden rule, understanding the golden rule, practicing dialogue, understanding fairness.
Do they talk about climate change?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
They have a module called Limits to Growth, which explores like living on a planet with finite resources.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember the Journey to Game B course. That ties into their vision for a more sustainable future.
Right. Okay. So it's like all these pieces fit together.
Yeah, it's really amazing how
Yeah.
they've connected all these different ideas.
Yeah. They're weaving a tapestry
Mhm.
of like,
Of interconnected ideas.
yeah.
Leading towards this common goal of creating a world that works for everyone.
And they even have stuff on intentional evolution and research centers
Yeah.
dedicated to pushing the boundaries of knowledge.
It's pretty mind-blowing,
It is.
the scope of what they're doing.
Yeah. And they don't forget about like inner work
Right.
and cultivating peace.
They have modules on finding courage and doing good,
Okay.
a quiet mind-guided meditations.
Wow.
Because creating a better world requires more than just knowledge and skills.
Right.
It requires inner strength and compassion and connection to our own wisdom.
So it's a holistic approach. That includes both the inner and outer dimension of transformation.
Yeah, they understand that true change starts within, but then ripples outward,
Right.
influencing our relationships, our communities, and ultimately the world as a whole.
Wow.
It's powerful stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of overwhelming. Like, where do you even begin
Right.
with all of this?
Well, I think their emphasis on self-paced learning is really helpful.
Okay.
You don't have to do everything at once.
Right.
It's like a buffet.
Yeah.
You can pick and choose
Yeah.
what you want to explore.
What interests you?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point to kind of pause and reflect.
Okay.
Because you brought this material to us.
Right.
You're interested in this.
Yeah.
So what stands out to you?
That's a good question.
What are you drawn to?
Yeah. What sparks your curiosity?
I have to admit, I'm feeling a bit more inspired now after talking through all this. You know, I was initially drawn to unmasking the true self, but now I'm also really curious about a journey to gaming.
Yeah.
It's both exciting and a little daunting to think about.
I can see that.
You know, rethinking how society is structured.
It's a big idea,
Yeah.
but it's where the real growth happens.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Getting out of your comfort zone.
Right.
Exploring new ways of thinking and being.
Exactly like that, saying the greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it,
Yeah.
but that it is too low and we reach it.
I like that.
Planetary Citizens seems to be encouraging us to aim high, to imagine a world that's truly better.
And not just imagine it,
Right.
actually work towards creating it.
Exactly. They provide a framework. But it's up to each of us to decide how we want to engage with these ideas.
It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Definitely not.
It's about finding what resonates with you,
Right.
what sparks your passion, and using those insights to make a difference.
Yeah, maybe for you that means diving deep into unmasking the true self.
Yeah.
And going on a journey of self-discovery. Or maybe it's exploring a journey to game B.
Yeah.
And joining a community of people working towards a more sustainable future.
Oh, maybe it's something even simpler.
Yeah.
Like applying the principles of thinking scientifically to everyday decisions, or
Right.
practicing those social skills to build stronger relationships.
The possibilities are endless.
They really are.
And that's the beauty of what Planetary Citizens is offering. It's a toolbox you can use to create positive change.
I like that, a toolbox.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the question we leave you with is this.
Okay.
What will you choose to explore?
What seeds of possibility will you plant today?
Remember, even the smallest actions
Right.
can create ripple effects.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on this journey through the world of Planetary Citizens.
Thanks for having me.
We hope it sparked some new ideas.
And inspired you to embrace the transformative power of Knology's wisdom in action.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing,
Yeah.
and keep diving deep.
Keep diving.